To my Facebook community real quick. So, coming on a little bit late. It's nighttime and it's kind of like story time with Stef right before we go to sleep. Well, at least before I go to sleep. Okay, cool. So this is shared out to my Facebook community, so we should be good to go. Okay, so if you're catching one of my videos for the very first time, welcome. Thank you so much for coming to check this video out. My name is Stef. I am the Psychic Soul Alignment Coach. And basically what I do is I work with spiritual people and spiritual entrepreneurs to help them to do very deep levels of healing, known as inner work, shadow work, inner child healing, in order to help them to powerfully align with more of who they truly are. So that's how I help people, because as my clients basically align with more of who they truly are on this deeper soul level, higher self level, they're then much more easily able to navigate life, what happens in life, and they're much more easily able to create their dreams as they move forward in life. So that's how I help people. Now, on my YouTube channel, because this video is going to be posted to YouTube as well as Instagram, I'm currently doing this video from my Facebook personal account, but on my YouTube channel, I have videos on the topics of manifestation, mindset, healing, spiritual entrepreneurship, spiritual activism, my personal experiences, and things like that. So if these are topics that interest you, I highly recommend that you follow me on YouTube, subscribe, and hit that little bell notification button and change your settings to all so that you never miss out on a video from me, because I don't have a consistent upload schedule, so you wouldn't want to miss out. Like, for example, I guess the last week or so I've been posting like a video almost every day. So, you know, in contrast to like not doing videos for like 3 weeks or a month or something. So this is how I show up. So I'm super excited to be doing this video today. If you're catching this on Instagram, please go ahead and make sure that you follow me if you enjoy this video, if it helps you in some kind of way. And also there is a playlist on Instagram. It's a series for my IGTVs, and it's called All Things Manifestation. You can check out other videos connected to manifestation that I have there. If you're watching on YouTube, there is a playlist on YouTube titled Manifestation 101, so you can check that out there. So I'm super excited to be doing this video because I've been speaking a little over a week or so on manifestation, and specifically quantum leaping, okay? And this is another video to elaborate more on that a bit. Now, I've done plenty of other videos. The titles are the following, just so you know. And if you're on YouTube, you'll see all of these videos, because I don't think I've uploaded all of them to Instagram. But I did videos on why some manifesting techniques don't work, how manifestation can suck, 3 reasons why people struggle to quantum leap, next level manifesting, 5 mistakes to avoid when making quantum leaps, 3 reasons people struggle to detach from the outcome, and 7 ways you're overthinking quantum leaping. So those are some of the videos that I've done thus far. Okay. All right. So I'm excited to do this video because, like I said, this is going to elaborate even more on the topic of quantum leaping and manifestation. So today's video is titled Forceful Manifesting versus Soul Aligned Manifesting. And I really wanted to speak on this topic because this has been definitely something that I have had struggles with as I've gone on my own journey. If you saw that video that I did, I think it was the video on 7 ways you're overthinking quantum leaping, I believe. Or maybe the one previous to that, I can't remember, but I talked about how sometimes when you have conflicting spiritual beliefs, that can impact your ability to manifest and quantum leap specifically. And so today's video is very much connected to that. So what exactly is forceful manifesting? I kind of jotted down a really quick definition of that as I was about to come on and do this video. I was like, what is the difference? And forceful manifesting is when you force your will and energy to create the outcome you desire, as opposed to soul aligned manifesting, which is when you align your energy to the divine flow of energy that's guiding you to the outcome you desire in a way that's for your highest good. Hopefully that made sense. But the difference between forceful manifesting and soul aligned manifesting is that with forceful manifesting, you're really forcing your will upon the universe. God source energy. I know that there are other manifestation teachers that teach other things. They teach you that you are God and that you can create anything you want, and that if you want something, you can have it, and you create it, and you do whatever you have to do to manifest what you want. Does that make sense? And so I understand that, and that was definitely part of my journey at some point, which is why when I began stepping into soul line manifesting, that tripped me up for a while. Because the truth of the matter is, and maybe I'll do a video in the future to explain this more in depth, I guess. The truth of the matter is that, like, all truths are true on some level. And so when it comes to a lot of spiritual beliefs out there, you have different spiritual beliefs that contradict each other. And you might be asking, like, well, which one is right? And they're all right, depending on so many factors, you know, where you're at in your journey, what feels right and aligned with your soul at the time, et cetera, et cetera. And so this is why, you know, when you have like conflicting spiritual beliefs, it can trip you up on how to manifest. And for me, this definitely was one such situation in terms of my spiritual beliefs that I had that made me feel like, well, I can make this happen. I will do this. I will do mindset work. I will do visualization. I will do this and that. And it will come to pass because we gonna do this, right? And I did that. You know, I did that kind of manifestation where I was really like hard on my practices to ensure that I got what I wanted. And I did get what I want. I did manifest really amazing things, but what ended up happening, and I mentioned this I think in my last video, is that when I manifested something really, really big, which was related to money, and it was a lot of money, shortly after, a couple weeks later or whatever, I got really sick for a couple of weeks. I lost my voice. It was difficult, and I couldn't understand why. And it turned out that I had unintentionally used my own energy to manifest my desire. Okay? I had strongly believed in my power, in my ability to exercise my will to get the outcome that I wanted. And because I trusted in me and my being to make the outcome that I wanted to happen, unintentionally, you know, in the energetic world, I had used a lot of my own energy to bring about my manifestation. And what this ended up resulting in was me getting sick for a couple of weeks and losing my voice, right? Because I exercised my own energy and will to create that, right? And because I have such a strong will, I was able to make it happen, you know, and we all can make things happen when we really, really want to, you know. And I was just at the time in my journey really wanting to get a certain outcome in terms of my business, in terms of a certain financial goal. And I did whatever I had to do to really energetically bring that about. And I got what I wanted. And it was a huge win for me at the time. I was very excited, but it got me sick. And this is when it was revealed to me by my mentor at the time that I had used my own energy to create it. I had, in a sense, like just done it all myself instead of leaning on the higher power. And so then that's when this idea, this concept of not relying solely on my energy and my will to create things, but to lean on a higher power to assist me with that, came into play. And I had to then go about a process that took me a long time to figure out, like, what is that balance between me exercising my will, because Source gave me will for a reason, you know, and Source definitely wants me to be proactive in manifesting my desires. But then where is that fine line where, okay, now I lean on Source to help me so that I don't continue to exhaust myself and use up my own energy in the creation of my desires, and I just lean on Source to bring it about for me so that I don't keep getting sick. Because if I had continued to force my will to make things happen and only lean on me and trust in me, then that's fine. I could have done that again and again and again, but for how long? That wouldn't have been sustainable in the long term, because it's literally like the flow, the current of divine source energy that's harmoniously like moving through the world, is trying to carry me down a certain path that's for my highest good to my desire. But me, I'm forcing my will, that I'm kind of swimming against the current, and I'm, not allowing source energy to guide me, direct me, take me there necessarily, but I'm doing all the work to bring it about, to make it happen, to take me where I want to go. And I'm kind of swimming against the current, right? And so that's what forceful manifesting is when you are really just at the point where you are doing all these practices and rituals and you're really adamant about it, and you're just like only solely relying on your own energy. And it can even feel like a lot of work. It can feel very exhausting even after you manifest. And so that's what forceful manifesting is. And it's not a sustainable way of manifesting. Yes, you can manifest. You can totally do it. But, is that something that you're going to be able to keep up each and every single time? You have to ask yourself that. You have to ask yourself if it makes sense to continue to move down that path and to keep doing things that way. And so this has been like a big learning curve for me, in learning to lean on the higher power to guide me and direct me and assist me in being able to align with my desires. So hold on a second, I gotta take a drink of water, because this energy lately has been like crazy dehydrating me, or maybe I've just been putting too much salt in my salads lately. But my lips are getting dry. So yeah, that's what forceful manifesting is. And like I said, this is how you know whether or not you've been forcefully manifesting, is like when you're relying on you mainly, when you're believing that like it's all up to you and you're the one solely doing it. That's when it's forceful manifesting. Soul line manifesting is when you're leaning on the higher power and trusting that it guides you down the path that is truly for your highest good. And this is where I differ, or I am different from other manifestation coaches, because as I've said in that previous video, I think the video title I'm referring to specifically was why some manifestation techniques don't work. I think it was that video where I mentioned how like the difference between what's for your highest good or not. If you're on YouTube, I really suggest that you go through the videos for the Manifestation 101 playlist. But soul line manifesting means that you're leaning on the higher power and you're trusting the higher power to take you to where you want to go in a way that's truly for your highest good. And so source energy knows things that you don't know, knows all the different pathways to get you to your desired outcome, and knows like what needs to happen and what needs to happen for things to truly work out for your highest good in a way that really honors the things that you came here to experience and do on planet Earth while you're here. And we have to find that fine balance between exercising our will and choosing like what we want to do, when, and all that stuff, but also leaning on the divine plan and where it's taking us, right? And that's a bit of a process. So when you are going about the path of soul aligned manifesting with your desires, you're trusting that source is taking you to your desire. And even though maybe source is giving you some detours potentially before you can actually achieve your desires, you're trusting that those detours or those things that you encounter are for your highest good. They're playing some bigger role that maybe you can't even imagine, but you're trusting in the process and allowing yourself to be taken down that path instead of you forcefully just like laser focusing in on like, I need to get to my goal immediately, right away. It needs to happen like this. And you make it happen. Like you can still make it happen, but you might potentially miss out on some very valuable experiences or opportunities relevant to your growth and your purpose in life or whatever it is, because you decided to just do things your way instead of trusting in the higher power to to guide you to where you're meant to go. Does that make sense? So let me give you an example so this all makes sense, right? Let's say you're manifesting a soulmate. Now, forceful manifesting of that would be for you to potentially, okay, I'm not trying to say that this is like specifically how it could play out, but like forceful manifesting could be you potentially saying, okay, your partner needs to look specific ways or needs to be a specific person that you already know. And let's say it's a specific person you already know. And you think like that's your soulmate, that's who you want to be with, you want to manifest that person. So you can go about the process of forceful manifesting that person into your life by constantly visualizing that person, doing mindset work to make yourself believe that it's that person or whatever, and eventually manifesting that person into your life and being with that person. And let's say that potentially you could be happy with that person for a while or whatever, but maybe that's not the person that the greater power intended for you. Maybe there was an even like more extraordinary person out there who would have even more deeply fulfilled you and loved you and would have done more amazing things with you in life. But because you were so hell-bent on having it be that specific person and you made it happen with that person, like you closed yourself off to the possibility of what source had to bring you, right? And because you think like, no, this is my person, right? And eventually, potentially down the road, like that relationship will fall out of alignment because it's truly not for your highest good, because at the end of the day, we're all here to align with our highest good. And sometimes it might take us a minute, or we might move down that path very slowly, but we eventually get there. You've probably seen this play out in your life in some way, shape, or form, where the things that you knew you needed to let go, but you were too afraid of letting go, at some point you have to let it go, right? Because you can't hold on to it any longer because we're constantly expanding. And so we're going to constantly move towards the things that are truly, more reflective of who we really are, who we're meant to become, what we're here to do, who we're here to be, whatever. So we're going to, at some point, shift out of these relationships. So even if you forcefully manifest, cool, you might manifest that relationship with that specific person that you want, but potentially down the line it's not going to work out. Potentially down the line, you're going to start having issues because that's really not the person for you, and you're meant to link up with someone even better, right? And so that's kind of like the difference to try to illustrate that, right? And so in that case of the relationship, you might be trying to force that relationship for a really long time, even though you might start having problems. But in your mind, you're like, no, but this person's the one for me. I really want this person or whatever. So you do all these things to try to make it work. And, you get all this therapy or counseling or whatever. It just becomes exhausting at some point. And you're like, why am I still trying with this person? Years later. And those could have been precious years that you could have saved from your life, by just trusting in the higher power to take you to the person that's truly for your highest good, that's truly meant for you, right? So that's an example of forceful manifesting versus soul-aligned manifesting. I hope that made sense. Let me know in the comments below, wherever you're watching from, whether this makes sense or not. But yeah, this has been a tricky thing for me to learn to navigate and understand without shooting myself in the foot again and again, by having like these conflicting beliefs, because like I said, you are here to create your reality. You are here to create your desires, and you do have to exercise like your intention, your focus, your energy to a certain extent. But then you have to find that fine balance with leaning on the greater power and allowing the greater power to lead you down the path that's truly for your highest good. And so, there have been so many times, for example, in my business where, I got tired of certain situations or things and I wanted to force them to happen. Like I was like, you know what, God, you're taking a long time to give me this thing that I want or whatever. Like I'm going to do this and this and this and this. But I knew it was very forceful energy. Some people could interpret that as being driven, being passionate, being committed, whatever it is. as I've gone down my path and I've become, I guess, more sensitive and aware to different energies, I can distinguish like true, commitment, heart-centered, soul-aligned commitment versus like disguised commitment that's actually ego, just trying to force things to happen. That's making me feel like, oh no, I'm driven, I'm committed to my success, I'm going to do this, because I believe in myself, whatever. But it's actually ego driven because, at that point, my ego was driving me to try to make things happen because I felt like, God, you're taking too long, whatever. I'm sick of waiting on you, whatever. And I wasn't wanting to honor my process and let my process teach me what it needed to teach me and to, help me in the ways that I needed. And I just wanted to go and make it happen. I was so impatient, right? So it's taken a minute for me to understand the difference there. But yeah. Hey, Nicole, thanks for joining me. I know today I'm in my PJs because this is like the first time I'm showing up online to do work stuff, really. And I was in my PJs and I was like, do I go to bed or do I do my video? I was like, I want to do my video and then I'll go to sleep. So I appreciate you. So yeah, this is the difference between forceful manifesting and soul-aligned manifesting, for those of you watching. But yeah, it's taken a minute to figure out the fine balance between these two things, right? And so as I really came to understand, like, oh no, I'm trying to force something to happen. I'm not really trusting in the process. I'm trying to exercise my will again. That was like an opportunity for me to, again, be aware of that and recognize that and then lean back into what my inner guidance was really telling me, what I really felt called to do in that moment instead of trying to go out there and make it happen. And yes, girl, do that video in all your boo time realness. Yay! Yes, my little monster here. Can you see it? I do things in my PJs today. Today and yesterday have been PJ days because I don't know what's going on with this energy, but this energy plus the cold weather here in Lima, it's just made me like not want to get dressed. So I take a long time in the day to like finally get out of my PJs and do my work and get dressed and stuff like that. And today I didn't. Today was like all day PJ thing. I just took a shower and that was it. Back in my PJs. But anyway, back to my story. So where was I going with this? The difference, the energies. Yeah, so this is basically what it is it's taken me a minute to understand the difference between like forcing things and like trusting in the process and leaning into that. So, it definitely takes a process for everyone to discern the difference and to really get honest with themselves about like, what is this energy? Is this true commitment? Is this true passion? Is this true drive? Or is this like really ego driven because this is you trying to control the process? This is you not trusting in spirit or whatever. And, it took me personally a long time to really start leaning so much more easily and gracefully into soul-aligned manifesting because as I've shared in previous videos, like because of my bringing my story or whatever in the past, it was just hard for me to let go of control. It was hard for me to trust in God, spirit, source, to bring things to me in perfect divine timing and that things would be brought to me. I would get impatient. I would try to, I wouldn't see like when it was going to show up or whatever. I started like having lack of belief and trust and all this stuff. So, as things took long to show up for me or they just didn't seem anywhere in sight, then I would kind of get triggered again and again to be like, God, you're taking too long, I'm going to take over. You don't know what you're doing, God, let me take over. And I would try to force it, and then I would have to recognize that and slow down and like take a step back and lean back into soul and my divine truth and what I really felt called to do instead of continuously letting my ego drive me again and again to make things happen, right? So that I could lean into the higher power. And by leaning into the higher power and learning to do that, it's so much easier for me to allow spirit to carry me forward towards my manifestations in a way that's so much more effortless for me, that just is so much more full of grace. And I'm carried by the divine energy. I'm no longer swimming against it, trying to make my way, pave the way for myself. I'm allowing myself to be carried down the river of energy that is, this divine flow that we're on to my manifestation, and trusting that whatever shows up along the way, is for a reason, and navigating that as best as I can, and continuously like always focusing on my desire, always taking the actions I feel called to do, always doing my part to show up and align with my desires, but also not forcing it, just letting the spirit to just take me there, take me down to wherever I'm supposed to go, if that makes sense. So this is the difference between forceful manifesting and soul line manifesting. When it's forceful manifesting, you're doing it all. You're using up all your energy. It feels like a lot of work. You're impatient. You're trying to control things. You are leaning on just your own power, and you think that you have to just be the one, making it all happen. And then you just like really buckle down, and you just like, it's a forceful energy. And there's nothing wrong with buckling down. It's just like, what energy are you coming from? And a lot of times we do that because we feel like, no, I have to do this. I have to like do all these affirmations, do all this mindset work, do this or whatever. I have to take these action steps. I have to, because I got to do this, because I have to make this happen. And I'm committed, and I'm going to show up, and I'm going to do what I got to do to make my desires happen, right? It's a very forceful energy, and it's all you. And you can be successful at it. You can do it. That's amazing if you do. There's lots of people out there having tons and tons of success with this more forceful energy, or forceful way of manifesting. But like I said in the beginning, like, that's not sustainable. At some point, you're going to burn yourself out. At some point, it's going to backfire on you, because we have to all at some point come back to God, come back to source, and learn to lean on source, this higher power, that this higher power does love us, does want to take care of us, does want to see us succeed, and wants to support us, and that we can let go and trust in life, and trust that we're being sustained by this higher power, and we can just let the higher power do all the heavy lifting for us, and then we just do our part to align with our desires, which is certain practices, like mindset work, trusting, knowing, believing, showing up when you are inspired to, when you feel called to, whatever. But then, leaving the rest up to the higher power, and just relaxing into that, knowing it's all taken care of. And so, that's the difference between that forceful manifesting and soul line manifesting. And soul line manifesting, like I said, it might not be easy for a lot of us, probably because, again, most of us, we've been raised to lean on ourselves, our own power, especially depending on how you grew up, or what country you grew up maybe. I know, like, for me, growing up in the US, there's a lot of emphasis on like people being independent, and really like going out there and striking out on their own and all this other stuff. And, also if you were raised to have a lot of responsibility from a young age, or you had like a difficult upbringing, and you had to like really just work for things for yourself, like it might be hard for you to let all that go and trust in this higher power to work miracles for you, magic. And so that can take a bit of a process, but it's worth it in the long run, because then your life becomes easier, and you get to much more easily like quantum leap and just make all these massive jumps again and again and again in your life, because you're not relying on your own power anymore and trying to make it happen. You're leaning on this higher power that has, access to all these infinite abilities, or infinite possibilities and ways for you to go further than you ever thought possible, right? And so when you lean on that higher power, then you're open to all these miracles showing up for your life, and for things to just be so much more like effortless, and just feel more simple and easier and fun and flowy, because you're allowing yourself to be carried by this energy instead of you doing it all on your own, right? So that's why, like, a lot of times when it comes to launches in the entrepreneurial space, some business owners, when they do launches and stuff, they can sell out successfully or whatever it is, but maybe like shortly after they have these launches, they need to rest. They're exhausted. They're taking some time off or whatever, because they were putting so much of their energy into that launch. In the energetic world, yes, in the physical world, they were taking certain actions or whatever, but also energetically, they were just really holding up the energy of their launch, instead of allowing source to really hold up the bulk of that energy for their launch, right? And so that's why they end up being tired, right? So this is what I wanted to come on here and share today with all of you who wanted to know a little bit more about forceful manifesting versus soul line manifesting. It does take a process for you to lean into soul line manifesting. You have to work through tons of potential traumas, limiting beliefs, fears, worries, things like that, spiritual beliefs or whatever it is, to really learn to let go of your need to force things and make things happen, and your ego that's constantly driving you to do things in this way, and to learn to lean into your divine truth, who you really are on this deeper spiritual level that knows that you don't have to be, trying to hold it up together or make it happen. You can lean into this higher power and let the higher power take care of you and to support you and to assist you with making these amazing things that you don't even know how you're going to do, but to make it a reality. And so it takes a bit of a process learning to let go of that part of ourselves that's so driven or rooted in fear, in flight or fight mode, and like feels like they have to do it all. Learning to let that go and learning to relax and feel at ease in our bodies and at ease in life, and at ease in the fact that like a higher power is taking care of us, and to learn to let that just support us, right, in our manifestation. So if you enjoyed this video, if you got something out of it, let me know by giving this video a thumbs up, a like, wherever you're watching from. Drop me a comment in the comments below, letting me know how this message resonated with you today. Have you struggled with forceful manifesting? Have you experienced some of the adverse effects of forceful manifesting in the past? And have you, been able to achieve soul line manifesting? Are you struggling with that? Like, whatever you want to share with me in the comments below. As I've said in previous videos, because I feel called to share this today, is that in previous videos, the video that I did on why some manifestation techniques don't work, and I specifically spoke to the fact that sometimes the old things that you did to manifest just stop working at some point, depending on where you're at in your spiritual journey and all these different things. And so sometimes, if you're at the point where your forceful manifesting stopped working for you, you've hit a dry spell, you don't understand why things aren't flowing, why they're not happening, or whatever it is, when they've been able to happen in the past, then probably part of the reason why you are coming up against a wall potentially is because you're being taught to lean on spirit, to lean on a power that's greater than your own. And we're all made in the image of this, source energy, God, the universe. But like I've said in other videos, like, we are not God. Even though we're made in the image of God, we are not God. And God, spirit, source, is going to ask us to lean on it, to come back to it. That's part of the journey, is coming back to who we really are. And we will all get there. And so sometimes part of that process means that all the old things that you thought you needed to do to manifest what you wanted, even though they worked in the past because it was part of your journey, it was relevant to you stepping into your power and knowing that you could make your dreams come true, you were worthy of them, and whatever else you needed to get from that experience, if they've stopped working, it's probably because Spirit, Source, God is asking you, like, stop trying to do it all on your own and learn to lean on me. Let go of your will and trust in my divine will, trust in my divine plan for you, trust that I have your back and I will help you to make this happen. And you don't have to do this on your own, and you don't have to work so hard for it, that I got you. And learn to lean on me, learn to come to me. And so that might be part of the process, right, that you're going through, is surrendering to this higher power, right? And let me tell you, like, at the start of this year, 2021, my guides, I always tune into like my mantra of the year, my word of the year, whatever it is, my intention for the year. And this year when I tuned into my guides, I was like, what's my word of the year today? And they gave me a phrase, and the phrase was like, I surrender to God. And I was like, oh, this is going to be fun. I surrender to God. Because basically that just means I'm going to be given opportunities again and again to surrender. So that means for me, there are going to be a lot of opportunities that I'm going to want to control, and I have to learn to stop controlling and to let God have my back, right? And like I've said, that's been a challenge. It's been a challenge to learn that, because as I said in previous videos, like, growing up, I was the only one that had my back. That's how I felt. Like, Stephanie, nobody's going to really take care of you. You got to take care of yourself. And so learning to lean on this higher power instead of just myself has been a very powerful experience for me. Hasn't been the easiest, but it's just been so worth it, because that's what's allowed for me to now move through life with so much more peace and so much more grace, and to really just have a life in which I'm not pushing myself, I'm not forcing myself to do things out of ego, I'm not driven by fear anymore and the scarcity or whatever it is. I'm just relaxed and I'm leaning into the higher power, and I allow the higher power to lead me wherever I need to go much more easily, and things just work out so much better, unexpectedly, magically, because I'm no longer leaning on just me anymore. I understand it's safe. It's safe to exist. It's safe to allow God to shower me with love. And I don't have to constantly work for it and do stuff to prove that I'm worthy of it. I can just be and allow myself to receive, right? So this has been quite the journey for me, but it's been powerful, right? So this is the difference between these two things. I hope that this has helped you. I know that there are other manifestation teachers teaching other things in terms of manifesting, and sometimes their messages or the way that they teach is very forceful, and that's okay. But as me being the psychic soul alignment coach, I'm all about soul alignment, and that means soul growth, and that means healing on these deeper levels and growing spiritually, like on very deep levels. And so, I could definitely teach forceful manifesting. I have no problem with that. It worked successfully for me in the past, like I mentioned earlier, but, that wasn't the most effective way of manifesting, is what I realized in my journey. And it wasn't the way of manifesting that really honored my soul's truth, on these deeper levels. And so I had to learn to shift out of that and to shift into a way of manifesting that really honored, what I deeply knew my soul was true about, the fact that I'm loved, I'm supported, that there is a higher power around me that is always guiding me and helping me to work things out in the best possible way. And I just had to learn to go about the process of letting that go, letting the need for me to control everything and figure everything out, to let that go and just lean into, my truth again and again and again. And just have it be easier and effortless. So yeah, it's been a journey. But anyway, I really hope that you got a lot of value out of this, that you learned something new, that maybe I helped you with some kind of insight breakthrough that you might have needed. As I said, go check out my playlist on YouTube, Manifestation 101. I'll put it up here in the cards for you to go check that out. In case you're on YouTube watching or on Instagram, it's on my IGTV series, All Things Manifestation. Check that out. If you would like support with understanding what it takes to really be able to quantum leap, so that means make drastic jumps in your life, in your career, in your finances, whatever it is that you want to manifest, and you want to completely turn things around in a short amount of time, then I would really love to have you join me in Next Level Manifesting, which kicks off this Saturday. It's going to be amazing, and it's a 12-week program in which I take you through all the very deep inner work required to be able to help you much more easily lean into who you are when you have that life that you desire. Because as I've explained in past videos, quantum leaping is about you just radically jumping into the version of reality that you wish to exist in. And so, you can, by making this quantum jump, you have to be that version of yourself in the version of reality that you want to have. So if you want to be the version of you that has that amazing relationship, if you want the reality in which you have that amazing relationship, you have to already be that version of yourself that feels like they're in an amazing, loving, soul-aligned relationship. If you want to be that version of yourself, or experience the reality in which you have like an amazing career that pays you really well, or your work gets known, or whatever it is, you have to already start being that version of yourself, right? You have to already hold yourself in such a way, think things about yourself that are a match for that version of you and that reality you wish to experience. And that takes a bit of a process, being able to really fully embody in the now moment who you are in this future timeline. And that's why we take you through all this healing, this mindset work, all these practices and things like that throughout the 12 weeks of the program, to really help you to let go of your old self, deconstruct your old self, so that the energy of your old self and the patterns of your old self don't continue to drag you into who you used to be, and you can just let that go much more easily and step more into who you want to become, who you really are, and to much more easily show up as this version of yourself and really just own that confidence, that power, that worthiness, that sense of well-being, that sense of, love, or whatever it is, so that by being that, you can then much more easily be a match for your desires, because your desires just have to show up. If you're being a version of yourself that feels worthy of a soul-aligned relationship, a soul-aligned soulmate has to show up. If you're being the version of yourself that feels like they deserve success in their career or their business or whatever, like it just has to show up. If you're showing up as this version of yourself that feels worthy of that success, that knows that they have, tremendous value to offer to the world, etc. Like if you're being that version of yourself, it has to come. It has to come. It's just the law of the universe, right? And so reality is just constantly reflecting back to you who you think you are. So if you think, if you feel, if you believe that you are a person that has this amazing life, then reality has to match that with you. So just, look at your life, take an inventory of your life and see what you like about it, what you don't like about it, because at the end of the day, what it's showing you is that that's what you believe and feel and think about yourself. That's what you think you're worthy of. That's what you think you're capable of. That's what you feel is the highest that you can go, etc. And, there are certain things that you would like to drastically change there. Then you have to change how you feel about yourself, how you think about yourself, how you be in the world. And so that takes a bit of a process, and that's what we're going to do in Next Level Manifesting. So if this speaks to you, I'm going to drop the link to the program below for you to check out more information, payment plans. If you have more questions, reach out to me on social media. In my social media accounts, you can find me on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, and TikTok as Stef Ventura Coaching. So message me there, and I'm happy to provide any additional information that you need. And thank you so much for your time. Thank you, Nicole, for joining me. I appreciate you, sister. And I will see you in the next video. Take care. Bye.